Today is the day. A bouncing, periwinkled-haired girl circled her 3 closest friends, chirping and squealing about the news that the principal had announced. Excitement would have been an understatement. Nᴜᴍᴜ was absolutely ecstatic about the living quarters her and her classmates would be inhabiting for the rest of their 3rd year at UA. Nᴜᴍᴜ, calm down, please, her quiet friend mumbled, tugging on the sleeve of Hado's uniform. Sorry, I'm just really excited, she squealed, wrapping her friend in a tight hug and began to spin around. The girl squeaked in surprise, clinging to Hado out of fear of falling. Put me down. Sorry. It's okay, she mumbled after being placed back on the ground. Muriel glanced down at his 2 rather quiet friends and smiled to himself as they locked eyes before turning in the opposite direction. It was amusing, to say the least, at how the 2 interacted when alone. It was usually just comfortable silence, but sometimes conversations would spark when Ryan would blurt out something sweet, like a cute compliment or phrase, and would immediately apologize before delving into embarrassment. Amajiki always tried to assure her it was okay, but ended up making a fool out of himself one way or another. They had a friendship based on mutual embarrassment, and both the louder of the 4 found it cute. Hey, stop it, Wine giggled, fighting off Hado's quick movements as a tickle war broke out. Well, a one-sided tickle, more to say the least, Wyan being on the receiving end. Never, the periwinkled girl proclaimed, using one hand to hold her wrist while the other to roam her ribs and stomach, her fingers nipping at ticklish spots. The 2 boys waited for the war to end, but the amount of surprise building up in them was ready to burst. Wyan was never this loud to begin with, but her laugh was definitely contagious when it was heard. That, in and of itself, was rare. The bell rang out in the halls and Amajiki jumped, having been focused on the laughter filling his ears. Dorms, here we come, Mario cheered, pumping a fist into the air as the laughter died down. Wyan's face flushed from too much giggling as Hado hit hers. Yeah, let's go, the taller girl mimicked his cheer. With wary glances, Wyan and Amajiki glanced between each other once more, their gazes lingering. When their 2 friends high-fived, a hand clamped around her own, and Hado dipped down to her height, tugging and pulling at her arm to gain her attention. Pegs don't pick themselves up, missy, so let's go, she whined, and Wyan huffed, waving to the boys. See you, Tagato, Amajiki, she mumbled, following her best friend aimlessly down the halls and out of the building. Chapter 2. Girls on the right, boys on the left, Snipe announced, pointing in the directions as the 3rd-year class entered the building. Groans echoed through the halls, and the pro-hero turned to face them with his hands on his hips. The 2 boys and girls responsible for the noise visibly straightened before looking away from their teacher. Is there a problem, Kamato Yasiro? The 2 boys shook their heads, eyes angled to the ground, as Snipe moves on to the female next to them. What about you, Tamatsu? No, sir, sorry for the interruption, she apologized, earning a curt nod from the latter. Okay, moving on, he announced, clapping his hands and turning to the gesture. Showers, the kitchen, and the living room are all located on this floor. And yes, The showers are separated, just like the rooms. Another groan was heard in the crowd, and multiple heads turned to stare in disgust at the girl with a pout sitting on her lips and hands on her hips. Her eyebrows lifted as she noticed the attention she had received, and smirked, winking at the few boys and girls who met with her eyes. "Tanatsu, I'm sure many of the girls and boys here don't want you spying on them while they shower," the pro growled, having said similar words before. "Honestly, learn some manners." She huffed loudly, obviously displeased with being called out. Snipe clapped his hands together to gain the rest of the class's attention. "Moving on once again. Welcome to your new home for the next few months. Make the most of your time here." With that, he moved to the side before the class had a chance to squash him as they bolted into the building. Around 5 stayed behind before following their friends, not wanting to be caught up in the stampede of students. A breath of relief was heard among the 5, and the boy turned smiling. "This is interesting, isn't it? We'll be living with each other." Although his question may have seemed directed at the 4, a certain female couldn't help but notice how his eyes lingered on her for more than it did on the others, and she didn't like it. "Yeah, fun." She reached for the closest hand and walked with him inside the building. Once entering, she was greeted with the sights of Hado and many other students bouncing around the common room. With a sigh, she smiled at the nervous boy beside her. "Excited?" she questioned, a small smile present on her lips. He turned, hand shaking as he gripped onto hers. "Not one bit."